Welcome to Spiritual Sauce, the podcast where we talk to spirit and invite you to join the conversation. We are your
Yes.
hosts,
Valerie Medina.
and Christine Boschen.
This is a reaction video to a session in which Valerie channels and Christine asks questions. You can find the original recording and associated reaction videos in the playlist called Valerie's First Channeling Session.
In this first episode, we are channeling and exploring the definition of ancestors.
Should we start our,
Oh.
I mean, we're just chatting. At some point we should
Yeah.
say hello and welcome to our community who's joining
Yes.
us online.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello and
Go ahead.
welcome. I'm Christine and I'm here with Valerie, and we are going to be channeling together. Mostly Valerie, probably, and a little bit of Christine. The topic is ancestors, current, present generation, and future generations. And Valerie, you were about to open us with an intention setting, which I love to do. So
Yes.
please.
Okay. And so we open ourselves to the light. And with this light, we open ourselves to our truth. And with this light, we open ourselves to our soul's purpose. And with this light, we open ourselves to be guided towards our highest good and the highest good of those we love. And I just like to set an intention of the things that will come through today will be for people to hear. And if they're tuning in at any future time, it will be the right time for them to hear what they're supposed to hear. I believe in divine timing.
Me too. Yes. Divine timing, which my guides quite often phrase to me as comedic timing. That's usually the way that they get my attention and describe to me to pay attention to timing.
Okay.
That is such a beautiful invocation. Thank you for the prayerful intention setting for our session tonight.
Thank you. I give credit to, let's see, who is it? Oh, her name isn't on here. Laura Coe.
Laura
She's an
Coe.
Akashic Records teacher.
Mm.
And that,
Wait, did you just say that in stereo with yourself?
yeah.
I think you on the recording and you right here said that at the same time, Laura Coe. So, okay. I paused it for a moment, but we just finished the invocation part. So that's the saying of the prayer to set the space for the channeling before the channeling happens. And you and I both do that. We do some version of that when we open a session.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing that lately. With my SEH clients, it tends to happen as the relaxation happens, because you're calling in safe energy, colors, a winged being, a protection. So you're setting that kind of intention where you're safe. So
So that's an
it's the
important part of
same.
it then is the safety, the
Yeah.
sensation of safety.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else before we head into the next part, which is when I think we're going to start listening to channeling?
Well, I wanted to talk briefly about, I know that people can be afraid that they're going to call in something scary, but your guides don't give you information that you're not ready to hear. So whenever you're asking your higher self for information about some problem you're having or whatever, there's no reason to be afraid of it, because your higher self is only giving you the information that you're ready to hear and act on if you feel compelled to act, whatever however you're supposed to do. Like when I got last July, during a meditation, not meditation, but during a hypnosis session, my guides told me to meditate. That's how I was going to open up better, and it's true. And it's also helped with anxiety and depression. So it's also, helped on my with my everyday life. But so that's what I'm saying is I was ready to hear that, and I've been told years and years and years to meditate because I've had anxiety, PTSD symptoms, and things like that. And I've always heard meditation, but I could never stay in it for very long. My mind would go and I'd think about work, and I couldn't I couldn't concentrate for very long. Now I play meditations and I'm able to concentrate and visualize and breathe in through my heart and all those all those things that make you relax. But all I'm saying is I don't know why I brought that up.
Well, I think it's about timing, right? Because
Yeah,
you're expressing that your higher wisdom will know what's right for you in the right, like in the moment,
at the right time, right?
at the right time. And then the
Yeah,
other thing, as you were talking about, your higher self will speak to you and guide you in what's appropriate for you at the right time in the current time. I think it's also really important to maintain a sense of discernment because um, when one is channeling or one is receiving information, if it doesn't feel right, then it's not right. So there's also
right.
that. It's like
Yes,
it's like this
yes.
doesn't, I don't think this doesn't
That
feel right.
doesn't
I don't
sound
get a
right.
good feeling in my body.
Yeah, you can disregard um stuff if you want. Um, but there is the thing of you have to be careful though,
Mm-hmm.
because ego steps in.
Hmm.
And
Right.
when you I always tell people that to go with the first thing they're feeling, hearing, sensing. Go with that first thing and say it before ego kicks in and says, nah.
And judges it. Right, right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
judges it as oh, that you're crazy.
Right. So you
Yeah.
go with that before it's like, when you're in that stage right before you wake up.
Yes.
Like you're
Ooh,
just coming out of your dreams and you're almost
yeah.
awake. There's a
Yeah.
clarity in that moment in time, and it's similar to that, right? Where there's a clarity
Yes.
before you start putting all of your
Yes.
judgment.
Yeah. And you just yeah. In fact, I'm going to start even in my sessions, when I do sessions, I'm going to start telling people go with the first thing that you feel, hear, sense,
Hmm.
um, and don't judge it, you know, because you going down that path is the way to trust and the way to trust yourself. And when you can trust yourself, more information will come. So whether you do it by channeling or you decide to write
Hmm.
down and the answers can come that way, whatever your mode you choose, or sitting in meditation and listening as your ideas come in. But any way that you do it, you have to make space for it and you have to trust it.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. So with that introduction, shall we listen to Valerie of approximately a month ago?
Was it a month ago?
A month and a week, I think.
Okay. Paragraph just resonates for me. It's a way to open up your Akashic records. There's an additional phrase,
Mm-hmm.
but that beginning phrase to me is good for any time you're connecting with spirit. So
Hmm.
I really like it. So I started using it recently.
So we'll find her name and put the credits
Yes,
in.
I think her last name is Cole. And yeah, so she's got a, she calls it the little school of Akashic, the little soul school or something like
Mm,
that.
cool.
Yeah. And that's
Because it's
Co,
it's really funny to
COE.
consider that a soul could be little or that
COE.
the Akashic records could be that's fun. Again, back to comedic timing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Miss Valerie, how shall we start this? You want to mention the jar of questions that you pulled this set of questions out of last week?
Yeah, a couple of months ago, when we decided we were going to start channeling and start um, asking each other's channels some questions, we came up with, I don't know, 10 or 12 topics. And what I did was I wrote them down on a piece of paper and folded them up. And this was 2 months ago.
Maybe
And
even
I put them
four or
in,
5 months ago. I don't know. It seems like it might be a lot longer than
was it
that.
October or November?
Was it?
Maybe
Okay, so at any rate, yeah, some time
November
ago.
at least. Yeah.
Some time ago.
And I put it in this beautiful jar that's shaped like a red, like a Hershey's Kiss.
Hmm.
I got it for Christmas. And so I put all the little slips of paper folded up into this Hershey's Kiss. And the last time we were together at the end of our last session, I said, "Well, let's go to the next topic." And I just kind of fooled around in there, and I think I pulled up the one that's right for me to channel and right for you to come up with the questions.
Yes, yes. And I think it's also, we were talking a lot in our last several sessions about karma.
Mm,
And so I think that talking about ancestors and our role of connection with our ancestors and is it progeny? How do we call the generations that come after us? Is
yeah,
it progeny?
progeny.
So our
Hmm.
ancestors and our living relatives and ourselves and our progeny really ties into the question of karma and collective life purpose. So it seems to me to be a nice segue and a continuing of the conversation. So
Yes.
with that, may I invite your guides into the conversation?
Yes.
Wonderful. So Valerie's, I think you're channeling right there. Did you notice that?
Well, I noticed I relaxed like,
Y-
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And when you said yes, I think it was they were like, yeah, we're here, we're ready.
yeah.
So I could see the change. Guides, before we get started with the questions of this evening, are there any of you that would like to come forward and make yourself known in terms of specific beings? Could you tell us more about who you are tonight and whether you are always the same group with Valerie or you maybe have different collectives that come in for different topics?
Well, Valerie has lots of angels, her ancestors, people who've passed who drop in to give some wisdom once in a while. And it's a whole group of us, beings of light, she likes to call us. But we don't really have a name. It's not important because we come together collectively, but she hears us one at a time. Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
interesting.
Is there more you'd like to say on this?
Each one of us,
That's interesting.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely channeling.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I could see it immediately when you said yes. There was a different rate of breathing. You were all of a sudden breathing slower and deeper. There was a bit of a
Yeah,
rocking back and forth that your body was doing.
yeah. It's like the energy affects me
Your
that
whole
way.
being. Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And then there's a subtle shift in the quality and tone of your voice.
yeah,
And the information that you're speaking is has a feeling, I don't know how better to describe it, a feeling that is harmonious with you and yet not you.
yeah. It's not my personality.
Right.
It's devoid of my personality, sort of.
I guess
Although,
I don't know about devoid. I think
no, no, no. I think my personality does because I'm playing. Like you said. you mentioned I am plain speaking
Yes,
when I
right,
when I channel. It's simple.
direct,
Direct,
clear,
direct. Yeah.
clear,
Um, yeah, it's
welcoming.
interesting.
I would also add welcoming.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So I think we've answered our first question. How do we tell when Valerie's channeling? No stuffed animals involved. You did not need them as a prop. Um, so now maybe we just listen to what your guides are saying. Shall we do
Okay.
that? Like so I
Okay.
guess the question is, who are your guides? Please feel free to stop me whenever you want to stop the recording.
Okay.
I just thought it was a great channeling session. I'd like to listen to it.
Brings to this conversation our experience as incarnated souls. Some of us have been incarnated.
say
Some of
something?
us have never.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm listening to the words as they're coming in.
Right. Like when you're channeling,
Yeah.
you're listening to the
So
words as they're
I
coming in.
want people to know that I'm not I'm talking slow at a slow pace because I'm waiting for the words. I'm waiting for the words to hear the words coming in. I'm not making it up. Like this, I'm talking, the words are just coming out of my mouth and it's like boom, boom.
It's from you.
Here, yeah, here when I'm channeling, I'm literally listening and waiting for them to give me the information or the
Yeah.
words to use.
Yeah.
So it's a different, yeah, I don't even know how to, I'm trying
Do you
to,
feel it, does it come to you from a certain place? Like, do you feel it coming through your crown chakra, or is it somehow,
yes,
right?
yes, I would
Right?
say yes, that is where it's coming in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and maybe that's why I'm rocking too, because I'm feeling the energy
I'm just
moving
imagining
me a little bit.
like if it's like there's light drops and they're coming down and you're like, wait, I gotta catch that one. And then wait, no, I gotta go over and catch that one. You're like catching light drops.
Right. Let me catch that energy.
Yeah. Yeah. So your guides are collective, but they talk one at a time. And some of
Right.
them are ancestors and some of them are not, or specifically, like in terms of having
Yeah.
had an incarnate experience on the
And
earth plane.
and at this point in this channeling session, I really can't tell who's talking
Right.
necessarily. I can't differentiate at this point in this channeling session.
You do later,
I do later. Yeah.
about 35 minutes or 40 minutes in. We might not get to that tonight. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Too much for today. But shall we do a little bit more?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have never been on Earth. And we each bring to this conversation our experience and our love. So whatever comes in will come in as it's meant to.
Thank you so much. You bring me to one of my first questions, which is, can you tell us whether ancestors includes beings that have not had time on planet Earth? Or are ancestors really specifically referring to souls who have traveled on planet Earth and are connected to us in some way?
Can you say the first part of that question again?
So I have to apologize to Valerie for asking such convoluted questions that,
Well, it's funny. I'm hearing it now. I'm hearing that question now, and I'm thinking, ooh, and I'm like getting an answer. You know what I mean? I'm like,
oh,
oh, yeah. So I was like, and I'm hearing the question now
huh,
differently than
no,
I heard it when I was in channeling. I
that's
didn't,
interesting.
I didn't, it's like I heard the first part of that question and I wanted to answer.
Hmm.
And then you had the second part of the question,
Hmm.
and I don't, Well, let's see what I said because I don't know what I said.
Okay, we'll see what you said. I think part of that is like you were just describing, when you're channeling, you're listening, you're receiving,
Yeah,
and so you got
yeah.
so here you were like I asked one question and you were already receiving, and then I'm like, no, I have more to ask, and then you're like, wait, who am I
Exactly.
listening to? Am I listening to
That's
you
exactly
or
what
am I
happened. I
listening
was
to
like
them?
wanting to answer that question, and then you asked another part of it, which is good, but um, I was already listening. I was already
Yeah,
hearing an answer, and I wanted to capture it and say it.
yeah.
And then you said it, the other part of the question, and I went, oh, and then I got lost, and I lost my, you just lose your connection. You
So I
gotta,
have practice in terms of being a better host for you as the channel. So that's all really good feedback for me. It's like maybe I do need to write my questions down so I can simplify them.
you know what? It was a little bit. There were at times it was more like an interview. So that's and like you were interviewing a guest.
Yeah, which as a podcast host, I am used to doing.
You're great at doing that. Yeah, by the way.
Thank
But
you. Which is
I
a
think
different skill set than
then
helping a
yeah,
channel, right?
yeah.
By the way, I'm fidgeting a lot because I have one of these ergonomic stools that it wobbles. I don't have a chair right now. I have this like wobbly.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm fidgeting so much.
where it puts your knees down and your back up
It's
like that.
like the base of it is kind of like shaped like a bowl. So
Oh,
you have to have your feet on the ground while you're also sitting on it, or you'll just flop over.
oh,
It's for because this is my office too, and I have to stand up and sit down.
that's good for your core though,
Yeah,
right?
it is. It makes for a very fidgety ADD sort of an interview, but
That's all right.
I
More interesting.
guess so. All right, so where were we on your channeling? You were asking them about ancestors and whether they had to be incarnate.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And what the difference was between the spiritual ancestor and the earth ancestor. See, I'm just hearing this now.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't, I
So good.
like,
I'm
oh,
glad you get to listen to
that's
it
a
again.
good question, Christine.
It's like, so, all right, here we go. And your guides did answer it. Let's listen.
They did.
Hmm. So you talked about for Valerie's guides, you are a collection of angels, ancestors, relatives who have passed who popped in to share wisdom every once in a while. And so I'm wondering, in terms of reflecting on the concept of ancestors, are ancestors always going to be coming from the category of beings of light that have been incarnate in the earth plane, have experienced life on earth, and are have experienced life in human form? Are ancestors always going to be in that category?
Well, ancestors is really a human term of art. When we think of ancestors, when humans think of ancestors, they think of all the family members that have come before them, generations and generations, people who've um, come across the ocean and come across the land and migrated into a certain spot, and generations and generations of people who suffered and sacrificed to complete the cycle of life and create more people. Um, hold on. I
Oh,
don't know so what the question. See where I said
uh-huh.
I came out.
Oh,
I felt it.
that's
I came out.
that's
And it was like
interesting.
they were gone. It was gone. I
Because
wasn't getting anything.
when I heard the I thought it was coming from you today. Like I thought I heard that from today, Valerie, April Valerie, not March Valerie, but
Oh,
it
okay.
was March Valerie. So that's interesting. So you could tell but they still managed to completely answer that question. They didn't
Well,
lose it. You
I
didn't lose it.
struggled. I struggled here. I like came out and then I went, I could feel that I was losing it. And I went, oh, I got it.
And so then but that's, I mean, that's fine. That's part of the like the weaving of it, right? So you come out,
Yeah.
you kind of come out for
I, I'm
air.
what I'm doing is I'm trying to be open. I'm trying to, like you call it, hold space
Yeah.
for them to, I'm allowing them to use me
Hmm.
and to, and so I'm trying to stay relaxed. I'm trying to breathe and I'm trying to listen, you know? So
It's a
when I'm like,
lot.
yeah, it is. And that's what makes you so tired and a little bit dehydrated,
Right.
when you do it, right? You do get dehydrated when you channel?
I get dehydrated on the regular. I'm always drinking water, but
Me too.
I I definitely get I it is a real it's real work to make that connection to their realms, and I struggle bringing myself back down into the quote unquote real normal world. Like I have forgotten to pack my shoes the next day on a bike commute to work. Like, little things like that. Like,
Because you're open all the time and you're creating and
well,
you're in
but
that
but
creation.
when you're in that like channeling zone, it's really pulling you up and out, and it
Hmm.
is hard to weave back into what's the conversation happening in this space right here. Like it's definitely requiring a lot of the brain cells.
Yeah.
So you stuck back out and then you asked me
Hmm.
to clarify the question again.
Hmm.
So you are
I,
getting at so the
I think
question.
I did that to give me
The
time to relax.
oh
I
yeah.
think that's why I asked you to repeat the question, just to
Mm,
give me a minute, to relax back into it and listen to you
mm-hmm,
so I could answer the question. So
mm-hmm.
they could answer the question, not me, but they.
So they could go into part two because part one was quite eloquent what they had to say about the first part of the question. So what did they say? The question was basically our ancestors by nature, those that have come before us in human form. And you answered by saying that it's a category of art that humans have placed a meaning on. And then you described very beautifully, uh, like painted a
What was
palette,
that I
painted
just
a
did?
picture of what did you just do? Are you leaning back?
Rewind
Okay.
it a little bit. Was I getting like energy or something? Look, when we think of ancestors, like create more people. There you go.
Right here?
Yeah, I was um uncomfortable.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was get feeling the energy, I think.
Hmm.
But it looked like I shook.
I'm clearly not. I'm not using the usual program that I use. It's hard for me to
Yeah.
jump around.
Think of ancestors.
That's
When
okay.
humans think of ancestors, they think of all the family members that have come before them, generations and generations, people who
Have placed a meaning on, and then you described very beautifully, uh, like painted a palette, painted a picture of human beings moving across ocean, across land, and having generation and upon generation of struggles and life
okay.
purpose.
Yes, that's the human part.
Hmm.
So now the soul part.
Did we get the part that you wanted to see, Valerie, or I keep going back
Yeah,
and forth
I
over
don't
it?
think I this must have been my imagination. I don't know.
Probably wasn't. I'll try to find it when in the editing. I'll try to find it because I'm sure that there was like you must have
There
seen
was
something.
like a I don't know. It always looked weird.
I saw you go back. Yeah. Mm,
Is if we are all coming from source, all of us a drop of source, then all beings in the collective are our ancestors and our progeny all
mm,
at the same time, because
mhm,
there is no sense of time. So you don't have a before and after. You
mm.
have a now, a continuum, a layer upon layer of dimensions, all lives going on at the same time.
Wow.
So your little drop of source right now, incarnated on earth, has many, many, many souls because we are all part of this collective. We're never alone.
Mm,
So the bigger issue, the bigger picture is that the entire collective are our ancestors, are our progeny.
mm.
Oh, I said that twice.
It's just amazing. Like, listen to this wisdom, right? I mean, you did, first of all, as a channel, you did allow your guides to answer the whole question. So we got the whole question answered, and it's it's been a concept that I've been very supported by over this past month, the concept of all of these layers happening simultaneously. I've
Well,
been
that's good.
carrying that wisdom around with me.
That helped you.
It did. And this is very interestingly showing up in my own ancestry discovery process right now, because I have
Yeah.
literally sent my DNA to ancestry.com.
Yeah.
And we'll be finding out soon some interesting answers to interesting questions. Just to
Which
think
we can
about.
talk about
We
on
can.
another show
Let's
if
wait
you
until
want.
I find out.
Okay.
Yeah. But the idea that it's all happening at the same time in different dimensions is
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
And that ancestors are a term of art. I liked how they used that word or that expression, a term of art in human consciousness or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Does that sound right?
It does sound right. It
After
sounds so
you.
very right. It's
See, that's me coming out of
it's
it.
yeah, you're like, what?
Does that sound right?
Did I really channel?
Did
Was
I
that
say
good?
that right? See, that was my ego kicking in.
So going back to what you were just saying, how you're saying like you want to encourage your clients to believe the first thing that comes.
Right. And yeah, exactly. And look at me.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
For me, it's not always believing the first thing that comes because sometimes my channel isn't very open. And so sometimes the thing that it's kind of like, you know how if you need a if you got a pipe that's all full of junk, you need to take your pipe cleaner and clean out that junk. And so sometimes the first stuff that comes out for me is the junk. It's not
yeah.
necessarily the
Mm.
high wisdom. And so I don't always take the first thing. I always ask myself, how does this feel? And if I get a
Oh.
sense of wisdom from it or a sense of being lifted up or lightened or clarified or settled or peaceful or well, like all of those kind of feelings, then I
Mm-hmm.
can trust it. If I'm like muddied and confused and I have
Mm.
like a clenched gut and I'm feeling crummy, then I won't trust it. Then I will ask more questions.
I like that. That's a good practice to be in. I notice when I'm listening, it comes in pieces. You know, I'm
Mm,
listening,
yeah.
I say, and then I wait, and I wait again. And so it comes in spurts, but sometimes it keeps on coming. And when the words keep coming in and I say them, sometimes it's, whoa, blows me away with what they just said through me or whatever. And I'm actually on the inside of my head listening,
Mm,
going, wow,
mm-hmm,
did they just.
mm-hmm,
I'm trying to explain it so that people understand what's happening. But the best way to compare it to is when you're in creation. When you're making a painting and you're in that zone where you're super relaxed and everything's flowing and you know just what to do. And you're
mm,
mixing your colors and you know the next color that's going down and you just you're in the flow. Or when you're making a piece of music or you're
mm-hmm,
playing a piece of music and you're hitting all the notes correctly or the rhythm of it and you're getting it, and it feels so good, you're connected to that music. Or when you're on the dance floor, see, I relate to channeling like I relate to creating.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I've heard other channels explain it that way, or explain creating as the highest form of channeling.
mm,
So Um, so this is just another way of creating.
Mm-hmm. And it's a co-creation in that too,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah. I'm allowing that wisdom to come through.
It's a collaboration.
Uh-huh. From another dimension,
Yeah,
right? From the
yeah.
fifth dimension where they exist. So I'm relaxing enough to go into fourth dimension, and they are coming down into fourth dimension where we can meet.
Interesting. And
I've heard,
I'm just marveling that actually you and I are talking to each other over a computer screen. And that has got to be some other kind of dimension happening here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here, and we hope you stick around.
Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and react. React. Suggest other topics and join the conversation.
Yeah.